ખાઈને પણ એકવાર તો કહી દીધું કે લીધેલું. Sorry, these people just drive on the wrong side of the road over the median too. It just okay. We are here today, January 12th, at the G6 event that is being held in Navsari, Gujarat, India. And this is yours truly, the Owner's Lounge podcast, going to be recording outside only because we are not allowed to have private video cameras inside for some unknown reason. They said that they would provide me with a video. A educational session, also a prospecting gathering is what it is called. Can you zoom over to this sign right here? Back on me. So, prospecting gathering here. So let's see if we can get some of our questions that we franchisees have answered today, shall we? We got majority of the leadership that is going to be here today, so we should get our answers or our questions answered today. I know we've been trying for a very long time, but at least here in India, my home country, this is where I was born, so I love this country. Energizes me every time I'm here. Plus, this is where our new owners are from, India as well. They started their business 13 years ago in 2013 with Oyo was their first platform. I think they had a reservation system. And then after a couple years, they switched from a hospitality industry to a technology company and then expanded on the technology company, but now have reinvested again into the hospitality sector, purchasing G6 franchise from Blackstone. So we're here today. Unfortunately, we cannot record inside private events, so we're staying outside and doing this recording right now, but we will be attending the event. We will have photos at least from the inside, and then we will wrap it up after the event is over. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for a great episode. This is great red carpet entry here. I'm just going to take this in a little further. I don't know if I'll be able to go inside all the way, but at least we'll be able to set out the outside here. Food station set up over there, outside seating. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, it looks like it looks like that's our mocktails. And it looks like this is a stage for the comedian dance party later on in the evening. Because it does cool down here. Nice little G6. Oh, look who it is. This man right here, Tiny Smiley Faces. How are you, Andy Patel? I am recording a little bit on my podcast. How are you today?
All right, good.
You want to say something?
Be good.
Be good.
Enjoy life.
Enjoy life, yes.
That's it. And help other hotel owners.
That's what we're here for, right?
That's it.
That's exactly why we're here.
That's right.
You want to say anything about your foundation that you have, Tiny Smiley Faces?
Well, I run a foundation, Tiny Smiling Faces, to help kids or sometimes some other stuff in the hospital, whatever, right? So currently we're doing a big project to put CT scan machine in a hospital, almost $300,000 project.
Nice.
So anybody, yeah, here in Valsad, Vesma.
Nice.
Vesma Hospital.
Nice,
So
nice.
we're doing it, right? So hopefully we get people to donate, right? So it's a big project.
Yeah, I am Harshad Patel, and we have the G6 event today, and we hope to see a lot of franchises today.
So how many properties do you have?
We have 60 plus.
60 plus properties, G6?
Yeah.
All G6?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Are they all over the country or?
Now all over the country.
That's nice. I have one G6 property, so I don't have 60 yet, but that's nice. So
Okay.
what do you feel? I like this event in Navsari. I like having it in India as well, especially in Gujarat, because most of our owners, are Gujarati and Asian Americans as well. So what do you feel about having this event here?
I'm the one who organized it, so I feel really great, and I'm glad that we are all getting together for a 1-year anniversary.
That is
So
nice.
it's super great, yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's been 1 year, that's right.
Yeah.
December 17th, I think, was
Yeah.
the closing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
બિઝનેસ નથી કરતો, પણ હું અત્યારે સોશિયલ જ કામ કરું છું. બિઝનેસ બાય પ્રોડક્ટ થાય છે. બિઝનેસ બાય પ્રોડક્ટ વધે છે. અને 40 વર્ષથી મેરેજ કર્યા મારા એના થયા, બે ભાઈના વાઈફો, મોટા ભાઈના વાઈફને 42 વર્ષ થયા, નાના ભાઈના વાઈફને 32 વર્ષ થયા. ચારેય બહેનોએ કોઈ મેં તું નથી કર્યું. એટલે ઘરને સંભાળવાની જરૂર નથી પડી, ઘરે સંભાળ્યું છે બધું. બધાને એમ હોય કે મારો પતિ, મારો ધણી, મારો ભાઈ, મારો કાકા ટોપ નામ કમાય. અમે લોકો એટલા બધા પૈસા નથી કમાણા, તમે લોકો માનો છો એટલા. લો, નામ કમાણા, પ્રેમ કમાણા, રિસ્પેક્ટ કમાણા. જે કંઈક બિલિયનર ને રિસ્પેક્ટ મળે છે દુનિયામાં, એમ रिस्पेक्ट મળે છે. आप बराबर गुजराती हम समझ लो ना, इसलिए मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ. बच्चे साथ में है, मैंने उसको बोला है मैंने पैसा कमाया हो तो मैं खर्च करके जाने वाला हूँ. तेरे को एडवांटेज लेना है तो मेरे नाम का और मेरे पैसे का एडवांटेज लेना चालू कर दे. बाकी तो मैं तो वापर के, क्योंकि जो पैसा हम कमाते हैं ना वो हमारा नहीं है, खर्च करते हैं ना दूसरे के लिए, वही हमारी प्रॉपर्टी है, वही हमारा बैलेंस है. और मैंने बहुत सोच समझ कर मैं बोलता हूँ. अपने पास समझ है, हमारे पास संपत्ति है, हमारे पास शरीर है और हमारे पास समय है. तो आपको तो ये तो पता है ना, भगवान का भाग हमको रखना चाहिए. 10% हमको दान करना चाहिए. हमारे पास पैसा है तो इसका 10%, समझ है तो इसका भी 10%. ये मेरा एनालिसिस है. संपत्ति का तो है ही, हमने भगवान ने बोला कि 10वां भाग काटना चाहिए पैसे का, लेकिन मैं 3 महीने ऐड किया. हमारे पास समझ है, समझ तो समझ समाज के लिए भी देनी चाहिए. समय है नहीं है, लेकिन समय हमारा है, इसमें से 10% समाज के लिए, राष्ट्र के लिए, देश के लिए देना चाहिए. संपत्ति तो देनी ही चाहिए, 10% देना चाहिए ना, ज्यादा नहीं देना चाहिए. ये तो
प्लीज रिक्वेस्ट जोरदार तालियां हो जाए सर के लिए. थैंक यू सो मच सर. अब कीमती समय निकाल कर हमारे प्रोग्राम में आकर हमारे प्रोग्राम की शुभ बढ़ाने के लिए मैं तहे दिल से
અને તેમને આપણે સરપ્રાઈઝ આપ્યો કે એમને ખબર નહોતી કે એમને બોલવાનું છે. એવી રીતે મારી પણ સ્થિતિ છે. પણ મારામાં અને સાવજીભાઈમાં આસમાન જમીનનો ફરક છે. બિકોઝ હી ઇઝ સચ અ ગ્રેટ સ્પીકર. આઈ થિંક હી કેન inspire, he has inspired all of us. I think the biggest message is donate. અને આપવાથી કોઈ દિવસ કોઈ વ્યક્તિ ગરીબ થયો નથી. એ તમે ધ્યાનમાં રાખશો તો તમે કોઈ દિવસ ગરીબ નહીં થશો, આપતા જ જાઓ. અને આપવાથી જેને તમે આપો છો તેના કરતાં આપનારને વધારે આનંદ આવે છે. આ બે વસ્તુ છે. અને સાવજીભાઈ પહેલેથી જ જાણતા હતા. 50 વર્ષ પહેલાં તમે જે 10% ચાલુ કરેલું, હું તો 81નો થયો, હજુ પણ શીખ્યો નથી. સો આઈ થિંક દેટ મે ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ યુ. સો 1976માં મેં મારી પહેલી મોટેલ લીધી ડેલાસમાં. અને બહુ જૂની હતી, 30 વર્ષ જૂની હતી મેં લીધી ત્યારે. અને એ જે સ્ટ્રીટ પર હતી એનું નામ હતું ફોર્ટ વર્થ એવન્યુ ઇન ડેલસ, અને આલમો પ્લાઝા એનું નામ હતું. મેં લીધી એટલે 2 વર્ષમાં એ જ રસ્તા પર 3 માઇલના સ્પેનમાં બીજી 13 મોટેલ ખુલી. પણ એકચ્યુઅલી ફાયદો થયો, કારણ કે આ ન્યૂઝ આવ્યા ને એટલે ટાઈમ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ડિયાએ પકડી લીધો, ઇન્ડિયન એક્સપ્રેસે પકડી લીધો. એટલે મારો અને સુરેખાનો ફોટો ટાઈમ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ડિયામાં લીધો. એટલે તમે કહ્યું તે પ્રમાણે સારું કામ કરો તો એનું ફળ મળે જ છે. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ.
आज के दिन में हमारी कम्युनिटी is one of the largest hotel owners and motel owners in the United States and North America.
Welcome to the Owner's Lounge, the podcast made for the ones who don't just stay in hotels, they own them. Whether you're managing your first property or you've built an empire from a single roadside motel, this is your space, your journey, your community. We're talking stories that matter, moves that change lives, and the insights no one teaches you unless you've lived it. Real stories, real owners, real impact. This is the Owner's Lounge.
Well, thank you for coming, everyone. This is actually a really good crowd. Thank you, Rich, for having me. Now, I don't know how many people are actually subscribed to my podcast. You do need to check it out. And I'm going to tell you one episode to definitely look at is episode 6. It's probably one of my favorite episodes. But episode 7 was great, too, because we talked about what? Fair franchising. That's what we're here for. Oh, I'm sorry. So episode 7 was really cool, too. You got to check that one out. Because we talked about nothing but fair franchising. I had Sagar on and I had Mayor Mac on with me, and I think we had a really good discussion. So I have a special guest here today that is an industry knowledge for our industry knowledge and also guidance on industry insights and showing owners other avenues for revenue generation. So I'd like to introduce Chip Rogers. Grab the mic. All right. Do we want to? Well, I don't know if this is going to get in our way. You know what I mean? Is that on?
It's on now. There we go. Glad I didn't walk out of the room. I was about to walk out and go talk to the assemblyman. I heard my voice and recognized he may want me to say something. I'm not sure what, but go ahead.
So, Chip, what are the biggest industry insights that we can take away right now that you have to share, and also some of the guidelines of our industry insights that you might have, and also showing us avenues for owners to maybe increase our revenues?
Yeah, so we go to reverse order there. We just talked about. I got a sponsor here, which we'll talk to a little bit later tonight, that is in the AI world, and that really relates to the genesis of the entire question. That is, what are owners doing to use technology in a much, much, much different way? And I'm not talking about the technology that I think we all started looking at a couple of years ago, where you automatically text a guest to see if they want towels or something, right? I mean, that's great, right? Nothing against that. But there's so much more now that can be done in evaluating everything that you do as an owner or everything you do as an operator to help make the business much, much more profitable. But when I think about kind of the things at the 30,000 foot view that are challenging to the entire industry right now, but in particular owners, I mean, there are tourism issues. There's no question about that. People aren't coming to the United States the way they used to. Next year is going to be a big boom, an enormous boom for this area, of course, because you got the World Cup, and that's going to be incredible. But that's a one-time thing. Like, it's not going to last forever, right?
And I think that might just throw off all our numbers just because it just happened in the middle, and he's like, oh, look at all the numbers. No, not really. Following year, it's going right back down because you just had a special event.
Exactly. Be wary of everyone looking at your numbers next year and saying, "Oh, look at these hoteliers; they're making so much money." Right? It's going to be a one-year blip, but it'll be a good one.
So, if anyone is looking at selling their property, wait until next year and then sell. Yeah.
And that brings me to the next issue that I think lingers for our industry for many years, way beyond what we anticipated, and that was the cost of money. Right? We all thought that this was going. I remember when they said inflation was transitory and that interest rates were going to be high for a very brief period of time. And then President Trump talked a lot about interest rates coming down under his presidency. That has not happened. I mean, they've come down slightly.
Right.
And he has been very vocal about his thoughts on the Fed chairman. But the reality is that the cost of money. How about now? I used to do this for a living too, so it's kind of embarrassing that I really screwed that up. So thank you for reminding me of how I'm supposed to hold a microphone when I'm speaking. But yeah, these interest rates have not come down yet, and I think we got like a 3 or 4 year glut on transactions in the hotel space that otherwise would have happened. Now, are there people with a lot of money coming and buying hotels? Sure. But the normal pace of transactions that you would have seen under normal interest rates that we saw, say 2014 all the way up to 2020 something, we just haven't seen that. It continues to be a major problem for the industry.
Now I'm going to ask you a quick question, Chip, if you don't mind answering and giving us your input on this. What do you think about brands and obviously a market like this, Edison or Newark, that has an exit field with almost every brand, and then we have the bigger brands coming out and diluting your brand with more economical options just because they don't have another flag they can put there. So what do you think about that and how that's going to affect the market and everything?
If I were a hotel owner, I'm not, but obviously I have many friends that are, and I share their concerns. I think if I owned a brand and I have an area of protection and all of a sudden another one comes in, then I would be very concerned with that. Now, I think from the other side of the shoe, they'll say, well, these are all different. But the reality is the consumer doesn't view it that way. So what does the consumer think, right? The consumer can't tell that brand from this brand from this brand. They're just looking for a good place at a good price with the amenities that they want. They may be part of a loyalty program, but even inside that loyalty program, if that particular entity has 31, 32 brands under it, even the consumers under that loyalty program still really don't know the difference between a lot of them. And so if I'm an owner and I think that I have this area of protection and now I no longer have it because things are getting put on top of me, I mean, that would be a challenge. That would be something that I would be very concerned with.
Yes, we do need to pay attention to that, especially when some of these brands that are out there they're inputting new brands into the portfolio that aren't even recognizable to what they usually stand for. They're putting budget and economy hotels into it where they never had those, and it's just like, what are we really doing with the brand?
Well, this room would be filled with the smartest hotel people in the state of New Jersey, no question about that, right? But if I gave you a test right now to name for me every single IHG brand, how many people could get them all right? Or every single, and these are the smartest people in the business, right? If they can't tell you, if we collectively couldn't give you every single one of these, imagine what the consumer who just is looking for a hotel thinks. I mean, they're not differentiating between this mid-scale, this upscale, whatever. That's not going through their head. So there's a lot of product out there. Great, but you still need to be able to honor the agreements that you have, and you still, as an owner, need to be able to make a profit. And if you can't make a profit, that's a problem.
So one more question, Chip, and I think this is going out to all our owners that are out there that want to keep building more brands and building more hotels. The brands make profit by selling us a license agreement, correct?
So that's the way it works, yes.
They don't care if there's 10, 15 hotels of their own brand at the same exit. They know they're going to make more money if they add another brand, correct? But what is it doing to the market, people? We're building ridiculous amounts of hotels. We're cutting at our own profits. Can't be doing that. The brands are still going to get their money, and what are they charging us less fees because we have 15 hotels of the same brand in our market? No, I think their fees are still the same, right? But we're going to end up making less money. So we need to be smarter when we decide to choose what brands we put in what market. If there's enough there, come on. Let's think about it, really. Do we need another same brand hotel there, or does it even need another hotel there?
Well, yeah, that's a question that I can't answer, but I think as we look at, I started this discussion talking about AI and technology, but if we look at kind of the things that an owner needs to be concerned with, that is distribution, right? How am I getting a guest into my hotel room, right? Forget what brand I have, or maybe I have no brand at all. I need to know, how am I getting that guest into my hotel room, and then at what cost? Like, how much is it? What's my cost of acquisition to get that guest into my hotel room? And certain brands have great strength in that area. Certain brands don't. But I think we might be getting to the place with technology that there's going to be less reliance on those brands delivering those consumers to begin with, because there are a lot of options out there now on how to find a consumer and bring them into your hotel. And that competition, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later tonight, of being able to find lower rates, lower OTA rates, lower cost of acquisition for the consumer is huge. And that can really, over time, change the nature of the brand owner relationship to begin with.
Thank you. Now, going off of just what you just said and mentioned there, do you have any guidelines for us or avenues that we can have that we can increase our visibility and less dependent on brands?
Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So I don't want to, I know Rich is going to have an announcement. I don't want to steal Rich's thunder. He's such a good guy and he likes big announcements. So we're going to hold off on that one for him, but we're going to get to that. So it encourages everyone to stay for the entire meeting.
Excellent, excellent. So another question about fair franchising, since we're talking about fair franchising here as well. The 12 points that we have that we're putting in, they seem like very common sense points, do they not?
You know, it's interesting. I would say not just most people. No one in this room actually knows this story. So I'm going to tell you the story. How many in here are actual members of AHOA? Okay. A lot of you don't know this. I worked at AHOA as a consultant. And Laura Lee she wasn't my boss because I was a consultant, but Laura Lee, the first time she worked there, is who I worked most closely with. And I'll never forget, I came in one day, and this was back when we're in the old Atlanta townhouse office. If any of you have been to that one, you've been around AHOA in a long time. That was old school AHOA, right? But I come in, and she's like, she gives me the back then it was called the franchisee Bill of Rights or something like that, right? But it was the original fair franchising legislation. And I looked at it and I was like, I gotta rewrite this whole thing because I understood what was being attempted on each one, but it was a paragraph long. And so I'm like, no. If you have a Bill of Rights, like think about the United States, the Bill of Rights, like these rights shall not be infringed, right? They're very short, direct, and to the point. And so I actually rewrote the first set of the fair franchising Bill of Rights, I think is what it was called. Back in, that was probably 2008, I think, 2009. So it was a long time ago that we rewrote that. So that's how long back my history goes in looking at this stuff.
Now, if you wrote that long ago, why have we still not implemented it anywhere? That's a head scratcher to me. I mean, 2008, this is 2025. Fair franchise has been around for a long time, and those are common sense changes. They're not very hard. I think every brand or franchisor can kind of agree to it. I mean, if you're going to sell us your brand and tell us you're going to give us this much occupancy and this much ADR, and then year 3 when we're stabilized, we're not reaching anywhere close to those marks, what's the brand going to say?
Look, let me just say this is instructive on why it's so important to be involved. Rich, Malesh, and others are going to talk about why you need to be involved. You had 2 representatives here. My dear friend Bhavesh, we were just talking about him actually being a lobbyist that he didn't get paid to do because he's been working on this stuff for 10 years, 12 years, whatever. But I'm going to go back to my home state of Georgia, and I'm going to give you this story because it's instructive on why this fight is so difficult, or any fight. First of all, when you're involved in legislation, you look at it and you say, well, that's easy. This makes sense. Why don't they just pass and make law? Yes, from our perspective, something may make sense or something might not make sense. But from a lawmaker's perspective, they're going to hear things on both sides. So we had a bill in the state of Georgia that all it said was it was the billboard companies who wanted it. And what the billboard companies wanted is there was a law that they couldn't cut down the trees in front of the billboards because the trees kept getting bigger, and then they'd have to make the sign bigger. And pretty soon the sign was like you're driving down. If you want to see the sign, you got to look out your window like that because the sign's like 200 feet up in the air. And they're like, this is getting really unsafe because they won't let us cut down the trees. So for 17 consecutive years, they introduced the same bill to cut down the trees.
Right.
And they finally came to an agreement. And it was the flower ladies, or the garden ladies or something. They were a very powerful lobby, these garden ladies. And they're like, no, we don't want any trees cut down. And they finally came to an agreement. They said, okay, for every tree we cut down in front of a billboard, we will plant 10 more trees within 100 yards of that. And that was all it took. So they finally came to an agreement. And the 18th year of introducing the same bill, they finally passed it. And that meant they could cut down the trees and bring the billboards down, and they planted other trees elsewhere. My purpose in telling you that story is that even when you think you have the best ideas and they're solid, whether it be fair franchising, taxation, anything, it takes a long time. And I don't want you to have to suffer through 17 years, believe me. But it takes a long time. And the only way to win that fight is to be there every day fighting for it. If a politician, and I wish they were still here because they could back me up on this, if a politician thinks that you're there today to ask for something, but will be gone tomorrow if they give it to you, they're probably not going to give it to you. I'll leave you with one last story on this because this is also very instructive. So at this point, I want to say it was like 2008 or 9, I was the Senate leader. And we had a bill that came to us, very controversial bill about tort reform. You probably had it here in New Jersey, right? And tort reform at the end of the day was just a battle between the doctors and the lawyers. Now, on our side, we were generally with the doctors. We didn't like the lawyers too much because the lawyers always gave money to the other side. So we were with the doctors. We thought there should be tort reform. So we're pushing this bill through. And the way it worked when I was the leader of the Senate was I was never going to bring a bill out to the floor to vote on unless a majority in my caucus were going to vote for it. Like I wasn't going to let the other team pass it for us. So I wasn't going to bring the bill out. It was super controversial. And we finally get to the day where we're going to bring it out. And I come into the caucus room that morning and I see these guys, they're all kind of shaking their head like this. I'm like, guys, we've been working on this for months. Like now's the time. We're going to bring it out and going to vote on it. And I could feel in the room that they weren't real excited about it. I'm like, what's going on? And one of them stood up and he said, Chip, we're with the doctors. We agree with the doctors. But here's the problem. The doctors, as soon as we pass this bill, they're going to be gone. The lawyers, they were here yesterday, they're here today, and they're going to be here tomorrow. And that's why it makes this so difficult. And that story is incredibly important. If we as an industry, no matter what we want, think that we can just swoop in and say, please give us this, see you later, they're not going to give it to you. They want to know that you're there yesterday, today, and tomorrow, just like the lawyers are, because the lawyers, and they give out a lot of money too, but that was the moral of that story was you got to stick to this stuff if you're going to be successful.
That's a good point too. I will mention on my second episode of my podcast that I did, I had our New York State Senator Joseph Griffo on with me, and he mentioned something that I wanted to reiterate to this group here. And it's especially with lobbying and trying to get any reform done, state or national. I said to him, should I come there and talk to a certain particular person or a committee member? He was like, Sandip, no, you're associated with a group. So we have Reform Lodging here that is backing us in the state of New Jersey. So when they go to lobby, we need to show up with them. He said, bring as many people as you can. The more, the better. We want to hit every single person in that assembly. Someone needs to be talking to them. That's what he said we should be doing. This is a congressperson, a senator saying what we should do to get them to listen. So people, we all need to show up when we go to the lobby, talk to someone so that they get it passed. They know they're hearing something. And make sure when you go, you're talking about the same 3 issues. Everyone's got to be talking about the same 3 issues to everyone. So when they all get together and we hit everyone in that room, there's something that they're going to fight about, and they're going to say, oh my God, every one of us got hit by someone. Maybe we need to talk about it.
And one other thing I would say too is, to that point, you need coalitions. You need to bring as many people to the table as you can. If you're only hotels, sometimes they're going to say, well, that's just one small group. We don't need to worry about them, right? I'll give you a perfect example because I see the 2 guys sitting right here. I was talking to my dear friend Bhavesh, and he was like, we need to get this no pay, no stay bill passed, right? If you're not paying, you shouldn't stay in a hotel. Well, I have another friend sitting next to him, Milan, who is in the short-term rental industry. And I'm like, I bet in your industry, in the short-term rental industry, you also think that if someone's not paying, they should have to leave. Why don't you 2 come together and work on this? And that's kind of the thought process is don't ever build or create enemies. Always find bridges where you can bring people together. And if you go as a coalition into a lawmaker, you say, okay, we got all these people, and we all agree on this one issue, you're going to have a lot greater success.
Without a doubt, and that's what also my senator in New York State said. So we all need to be there the day we lobby. Everyone needs to show up so we really make an impact. That's how we get reform changed in the Capitol, anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let me ask another question real quick. Hang on just a second. What's the good question I want to ask?
I'm almost out of information unless you want to start talking about sports, but I can go all night on sports.
Sports is not bad either. Football season, who do you got going to the Super Bowl?
Since the season began, I've said the Rams are going to win it.
Really?
Yeah.
They're gonna beat my Eagles.
Well, they should have beat him the first time. The Eagles got very lucky. I think I was texting him when that happened, saying, "Damn, Eagles got so lucky."
I don't think they've lost to the Rams the last couple of years, have they? I mean, they beat them twice last year.
And I'm not a Rams fan. I'm just saying I think they're good. So,
all right. So I think that's we're getting the signal that we are pretty good with our session. I want to introduce who's coming up here next. Rich is going to be back to start the next session for us.